What's up, everybody? I am your host, a hell priest who's got a thing for torture, nails, and leather. And that is my co-host, an evil, death-obsessed doctor who likes long walks in hell and girls with no skin. And welcome to the Grindhouse Syndicate, where today we have such sights to show you. Again. Because today we are talking about one of my personal favorite sequels and the fantastic follow-up to Clive Barker's original nightmare, the bigger, bloodier, and far more surreal Hellbound Hellraiser 2 from 1988. And the question is this a sequel that completes the story, or one that opens the gates even wider? So I gotta say, feels damn good to be back.
Yeah, back in the saddle. Feels like it's been a while.
Yeah, especially after the past few weeks.
Yeah, it's definitely it's good to get back into some horror movie watching.
If you don't know, we had, family health issue that went on and got really crazy and just bad. We'll probably go over a little more details on a shorter episode because this is going to be a bit of a longer one. But yeah, man, it was just a bad situation. And it got to the point where if I wasn't at work, I was at the hospital. Jordan essentially lived at the hospital, and there was just no room to do the show. I mean, we tried for a little bit and things were kind of hit or miss. But yeah, it just got to a point where we had to hit pause. I hate to sound like cliche, but you never think it's gonna be you until it is.
Yeah. It's definitely it's a very surreal thing, and I know you mentioned we'd touch on it more on a shorter episode, but it being one of your kids, it's definitely a scary thing.
Yeah, man. 1 minute everything's normal, and out of nowhere, your whole life gets flipped upside down. It's unreal, man. But yeah, just to let you know, we've been working behind the scenes and we have a few episodes written. We just need to get together and record and edit them. So I think it's safe to say you can look forward to your Mondays again. But yeah, huge and much deserved thank you to the guys who were understanding and commented and messaged words of encouragement. We were kind of worried years of work could go down the drain because we weren't putting out episodes for a couple weeks. But you guys were super cool about it. The same goes for the Patreon members who stuck by our side. I don't think we lost a single Patreon member. Just because we weren't dropping episodes, the show still had bills. And yeah, you guys continue to help pay for them. So we are really fucking grateful for all the understanding and support. So with that out of the way, though, let's talk about Hellraiser 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
Yeah. So as you know, I love this movie, and I always thought that I would pick it. So I was a little surprised when you picked it before I did, and I'm really excited to hear your opinion on this movie. This is another movie that we've both seen multiple times, but I don't think we've ever discussed it. We've talked about the first one. We've talked about kind of Hellraiser as a whole a few times, I think off the show. But I don't think we've ever specifically talked about Hellraiser 2.
We haven't. That's a big reason why I picked the episode, because I don't know why. We have never really talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And, the reason I picked it is Hellraisers I'd seen growing up, but it wasn't like the Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Streets where I ever sat and ran through them all. And, had, with the Friday the 13th, I'll sit through them, at least every 2 years, sit and watch them all. And this was never one of those franchises. And then when we covered the first one, I had such a greater appreciation after doing the show, especially for the details of the practical effects and stuff. And the second one just compounds so much on the awesome practical effects that the first one brought.
Yeah. Some people love the reveal of the Hell Dimension, Leviathan, and the Cenobites. I'm one of them. But there are other people who actually hate the direction they went in with that. and would rather have kept it unknown. Plus, another thing too is I know you hate Julia, and she's like the main villain for most of this movie, so I'm like interested to hear your thoughts about that. But yeah, man, another thing that I was really surprised about when I started researching this movie is when we did the first one, you remember I had a ton of special effects info, like, how they did this and that. Well, despite most of the crew being the same people who worked on the first one, there was very, very, very little info on how they did the effects. So unfortunately, I don't have a lot of info on that, but I did find out some interesting behind the scenes stuff and some info that gave me a much better understanding of the plot and all the new stuff they introduced into this movie.
Well, if we tried to in-depth cover every effect in this movie, we would essentially never finish recording this episode.
Yeah.
There is a lot of really awesome, amazing shit. And they bless us with like a compilation of the awesome shit from the first movie
Yep.
in the very beginning,
Mm-hmm.
which, you don't really see that for movies anymore.
That's true.
Maybe people don't really think it looks professional. I like it.
Well,
Like
we've talked about
I
that
love that.
with Friday the 13th, where for the longest time, the Paramount ones, they always did the recap
Yeah.
before when the movie started. And then I'm not really sure exactly, maybe when New Line got it, exactly when they quit doing the recap.
Well, New Line went so fucking crazy. Yeah, I guess they did
Eh,
quit doing
Yeah.
recaps.
But I feel like that is a classic Friday the 13th move to me. Like if I was remaking Friday the 13th tomorrow, I would want the recap in it of at least some kind of important parts of the franchise I would like to have in there. But I just think it's kind of classic Friday the 13th, man.
Yeah, I think, if we pulled up a Blumhouse and was going to make three, the first three Friday the
Yeah.
13th, like that second and third one, to have the old school recap would definitely be a must. And it's, like I said, it's just something you don't really see in movies anymore. I feel like they got away from it because it's maybe more like TV show recap. You just don't see it in the movie industry very much anymore. But not only did I really enjoy the recap, I mean, we just did a deep dive on the movie, so I didn't need like a refresher, but to get to see all the awesome effects again, did not hurt my feelings.
Yeah, definitely. So, with that being said, are you ready to dive into Hellbound Hellraiser 2?
I am ready.
All right, let's do it.
Hello, boys and ghouls. If you want to stay up to date on what's going on with the show, talk about or submit your movie requests, or just say die, then I got good news for you. You can always find us at one of our social media accounts or our official website at Grindhouse.Horror.Pod.com, Facecrook at the Grindhouse Syndicate Horror Podcast, Instascam at grindhousesyndicate.horror.pod, and many gore, which you can always find links for in the show notes as always. And you know what I always say, the morgue, the merrier. So please subscribe or follow for alerts on new episodes. Now, back to the show, kiddies. Frights, camera, action.
And if you really love us and don't want us to escape this hell dimension we call Earth, give us a review. It's crazy, man. While we were gone, the fucking world went crazy, caught on fire.
Yeah.
All kinds of shit's happened. All right, so Hellbound Hellraiser 2 is a 1988 supernatural horror film directed by Tony Randel and written by Peter Atkins and Clive Barker. It stars Claire Higgins, Ashley Lawrence, and Doug Bradley, who reprises his iconic role as Pinhead. It was produced by Christopher Figg, Troop Star, and New World Pictures. It had a budget of $6 million and a box office of $12.1 million. So, before the first Hellraiser was even released, New World Pictures wanted another one, quickly greenlighting a sequel which was a great idea because both Clive Barker and Chris Figg felt that there was enough unanswered questions to warrant a second film. Unfortunately, though, after dealing with all of the stress and frustration of making his first motion picture, Clive Barker decided he didn't want to return as the director, but instead opted to take the role of an executive producer and story writer. And even though Barker already had a story outline written for the sequel, they decided to bring in writer Peter Atkins, who worked with Barker many times in the past, to flesh out the details and polish up the screenplay, who would then go on to work on at least 3 more Hellraiser projects over the years. So, another writer, Michael McDowell, was originally picked to direct the film, but soon had to drop out during pre-production because apparently rewrites were needed on Tim Burton's Beetlejuice, leaving the production scrambling to find someone to take over. By the way, Michael McDowell not only wrote both the Beetlejuice movies, but also the Nightmare Before Christmas, Stephen King's Thinner, Tales from the Dark Side, the movie and the show, and even a few Tales from the Crypt episodes. So definitely a heavy hitter, I would say. So yeah, he drops out, and that is when longtime New World Pictures employee Tony Randel steps in and asks for the opportunity to direct the film, which would be his first. And considering he helped edit the first movie with Barker felt that he understood the vision and style they were going for and agreed to hire him as the new director. And I just want to point out, if it wasn't for this decision, we might not have had the masterpiece that is Ticks from 1993, which is one of my all-time favorite movies, because Tony Randel went on to direct it just a few years after this.
Yeah.
Let's cover Ticks again.
Yeah.
Let's just do it again. We'll call it Ticks Revisited.
We got some stuff to get on, but we might be revisiting Ticks in the future.
3 more times at least.
Yeah.
We'll do Ticks every year.
It's amazing how, like, the spider web of horror Hollywood, so many different decisions on one movie affected another movie you would have never had anything to do with each other.
Totally agree. So, according to Atkins, the original story actually featured the return of Larry Cotton, but after reading the new script, actor Andrew Robinson declined his chance to return because he didn't like the story and felt that because his character died in the first one, there really wasn't a point to bring Larry back. Now, Sean Chapman, who plays the human version of Frank, felt similar when he was asked to return, not really understanding the point of bringing Frank back from the dead again. But considering he enjoyed his time working on the original, he decided to return as long as they didn't dub over his voice again, which, by the way, he never got over that. I've seen a recent interview. He's still complained about that. That's the sore subject for him, which I don't, really understand why they did in the first place. But
yeah,
because I can tell. I've always thought it was something weird. Yeah.
Well, I could tell.
Yeah.
Even watching the second one and hearing his voice, and compared to the first one, yeah, definitely a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't realize how much that's part of somebody's identity. Like, it almost makes you look at them like, is that the same person?
Well,
you hear a different voice.
They dubbed it in the first one with another American voice. It's like, why? I get if you were trying to make him English or something after the fact, but yeah, it never really made sense. He said that he never found out why they did it either, but.
I gotta say, if I read this script, though, and my character died in the first movie, I'd probably be a little confused.
Yeah.
But I would, if I declined that and then I watched this movie, I'd be like, oh, fuck.
Yeah,
I fucked
that's
up.
true. So Ashley Lawrence signed a 2-picture deal when she did the first one, which guaranteed her return along with Claire Higgins, who, despite a gruesome death in the first film, would be reprising her role as the worst wife ever, Julia.
What a bitch.
Yeah. Fun fact, Julia was originally supposed to be the star and villain of the whole franchise, but after the release of Hellraiser and Hellbound, it was clear that the fan favorite was Pinhead.
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't go in that direction, but I will say that she does play a good villain.
Yeah, I agree. So once a director was hired, the crew from the first film signed on, and they had all the actors on board. It was time to start filming. But right before things were set to kick off, a little financial disaster called Black Monday occurred, which was a global stock market crash on October 19th of 1987, which caused 1/3 of the budget to be slashed, which would lead to many scenes being cut. Despite this, New World Pictures moved forward with the project, with filming taking place at Pinewood Studios in the UK. After filming and post-production wrapped up, Hellbound received the dreaded X rating by the MPAA in the US for showing explicit displays of the grotesque. It then premiered at the Toronto Festival of Festivals on September 9th of 1988, followed by a wide release on December 23rd of the same year, where it made a little over $12 million. Right before Christmas.
Yeah. Strange.
That's wild.
Strange decision to release right before Christmas.
Yeah.
This is definitely seems like September, October release to me. Like gearing you up for that Halloween time.
Yeah.
I mean, a big part of this movie takes place in hell.
Well,
like the labyrinth.
The problem was, and this also goes back to the $12 million they made when the budget was $6 million. Because it received the X rating, there was only so many theaters willing to show it.
Yeah,
So,
but that's even with that, still,
still weird.
you have a
agree.
little control over when you're going to release it, and I would imagine there would have been a couple more theaters that might have said yes whenever you were going into the Halloween season and you're looking for some good horror movies to add to your theater slate, as opposed to the holiday season when you're trying to fill it with goofy-ass family Christmas movies. But yeah, I mean, could you imagine if you were in charge of making this movie and you had this script and a big part of this movie takes place in hell, like this
Hell dimension, yeah.
Yeah, and it's you find out that 1/3 of your budget or 2/3 of your budget
It was a
just
third.
got
Yeah, it was like a
cut.
third.
Yeah, I thought it got cut to 1/3 of its original budget, so 2/3 essentially out the window.
Yeah,
If
it
you
was.
if the original budget was what, like 18 million, and then you find out you got 6 to work with.
It drastically cut out a lot of special effects and stuff that they had planned. Frank was actually, I believe, he was supposed to be in the movie a little more. They had to slash a lot of stuff, and they actually ended up, it caused problems on a scene that we will talk about later on. But yeah, it drastically affected the film.
Yeah, your entire fucking like third act of this film takes place in different dimension of like torture and evil, and you've got to find a way to film this
They
and
pulled it
make
off,
it look
though.
good. And I know, I thought
Yeah.
it was great.
I couldn't
But
tell looking at
The
it.
fucking stress of finding that out when you had all these plans for hell in your movie. Like, I could only imagine the stress and what you would have to sacrifice and cut out to make that work.
So after the release, the film received mixed reviews with an average critic rating of 5.6 out of 10, with one critic stating Hellraiser 2 retains the twisted visual thrill of its predecessor, although seams in the plot are already starting to show. Our boy Roger Ebert gave it a whopping half a star rating and described it as a, quote, film strip in which there is no beginning, no middle, and no end, but simply a series of gruesome images that can be watched in any order. A fun fact, this movie actually landed on Ebert's most hated films of all time list.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
yeah.
I bet you a bunch of those movies are good, too.
Oh, fuck yeah.
I would have probably paid money to get to watch just his face while he was watching this movie.
Yeah.
Just
Let me watch his reaction
the
on the
looks
movie.
of disgust on his fucking face sitting in the theater
Yeah.
would have been fantastic.
So Chris Willman of the Los Angeles Times called it faster and campier than its predecessor and more of an action-adventure picture this time around, but still an exceptionally grisly movie. Years later, Clive Barker was asked what he thought of the film, and he said that it's an uneven movie, but so was the first one. He really liked the fact that he was able to give the fans some backstory on the Cenobites and show what their hell dimension was really like, along with answering some of the questions left over from the first film. As far as he is concerned, it is one of the best low-budget horror movie sequels. I concur.
I would agree with that 100%.
So overall, Hellbound Hellraiser 2 is considered a worthy follow-up to the original, with many fans considering it one of the best, if not the best, in the franchise. Its success led to a number of follow-up films, most notably Hellraiser 3 Hell on Earth in 1992, which continues to this day, with the newest movie releasing in 2022, along with books, graphic novels, and even video games. Which, if you haven't seen the trailer for the new game that's coming out, go do it. It's fucking awesome.
I have seen the ad for the limited edition
Yeah.
order. I've got to try to pre-order that fucking thing because it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't even play video games, but I am definitely playing that because it's got the original style.
Yeah.
And that's what I am excited about.
Yeah, I have exclusively used my PS5 for watching 4K. I have yet to play a single game on it, and probably, almost a year of having it.
At least, probably about a year.
But that will probably be the first game that gets played in it.
So, ratings, Rotten Tom, 52%. Pretty surprised about that. IMDb, a 6.4 out of 10. Letterboxd, 3.2 out of 5. There's no Google average audience rating. If you would like to watch this movie, you can currently find it streaming for free on Tubi, Pluto TV, Amazon Plex, and for rent on Google Play, Apple TV, and Fandango for $4.99. You ready to talk about the plot of Hellbound Hellraiser 2?
Let's do it.
All right, I have such plot to tell you about. So we start out with a quick recap of the finale of the first film, where we immediately see gross Uncle Frank, who is wearing his brother's skin suit. He gets ripped apart by chains as he is thrusted back to hell by the Cenobites. Kirsty then manages to steal the puzzle box from a now dead Julia, where she then uses it to defeat Pinhead and gang, sending them back to hell and escaping the house. After that, we then jump to 1920s India, where we see British military officer Elliot Spencer sitting in a room by himself, attempting to solve the puzzle box. But this time around, it is a little different than what we have seen before, because what happens here is the box electrocutes him, causing him to drop it, where he soon spots the top open up. And as he goes to look inside, we suddenly see tiny chains and hooks fly out of the box and painfully pierce Spencer's skin, causing him to scream in pain. He is then transported to the hell dimension, where his skin is quickly mutilated, having intersecting lines cut into his head and nails hammered into his face and skull, revealing that British military officer Elliot Spencer was the human version of head Cenobite Pinhead. And that, my friends, is how Cenobites are born. And I always thought it was demonic storks that delivered them to hell.
Nope. Just gotta be selected. You gotta get the box, and you gotta, I guess, be special kind of fucked up.
I guess. So after that, we then cut to our final girl, Kirsty Cotton, waking up in a bed at a psychiatric hospital named the Chenard Institute, where she is immediately confronted by a homicide detective who informs her that they've already talked to her boyfriend Steve and sent him home, aka they didn't want to pay to bring him back. And while he is talking to her, we get a quick cut over to the house, where we see two police officers discovering all the dead bodies that Julia used to feed Frank after he escaped hell. Because if you do not remember, when he came back, he didn't really have much of a body, which required him to feed on living people to gain back his muscles and skin. So anyway, the detective gets aggravated with Kirsty because he doesn't believe the story she's telling about mythical demons that appear out of nowhere, killing people and taking them to hell with this magical puzzle box at the center of it all. But this conversation is quickly interrupted when the detective gets a call from the officers at the house about a bloody mattress, which they must tag as evidence. And when Kirsty hears this, she immediately realizes that this is the same mattress that Julia died on. After that, we then meet the head psychologist at the Institute, Dr. Philip Chenard himself, who is currently teaching a class while also doing brain surgery. I'm not sure why he's doing brain surgery. That's typically like a brain surgeon, not a psychologist, but he's a supervillain, so I'll take it.
You can immediately tell this guy's a villain.
Yep.
Gets good villain vibes.
Great villain vibes.
And yeah, the brain surgery thing, it's not even like regular brain surgery. There's like awful looking. Like the
He's just stabbing it. Like,
got
look,
that like saw thing that's
Yeah.
going down, but that becomes like really important.
just like playing with the brain.
That actually becomes really important later on, and well, not really important, but it
pops up.
becomes significant later on in the movie. But yeah, this guy's a bastard.
Yeah, Chenard, he's a very distinguished man who thinks he knows everything, kind of a little eccentric, but he definitely gives off villain vibes.
I mean, the fucking institute is named after him.
Yes. So anyway, him and his assistant, Dr. Kyle McCrae, aka Kyle, then go to evaluate Kirsty, who is currently freaking out after telling the story again. And as the detective goes to leave, she informs him that he has to have the mattress destroyed or Julia can come back like Frank did. I'm not entirely sure, and I don't think it's ever answered how Kirsty knows this.
Yeah,
It doesn't really make any sense, but she does.
That's one of those things that people complain about, as the movie doesn't make sense. But I think it's one of those things that you just
accept.
don't look too hard.
Just accept it.
And
It's Kirsty.
This movie is just full of awesome fucking imagery and awesome creepy practical effects. Some shit that will legitimately scare you as a kid. And just let that one slide.
Yep. So after she yells, the cop leaves and Chenard appears to be very intrigued by this as he then leaves her with Kyle while he chases down the detective to ask him some questions. So Kyle, unlike Chenard, is this laid back, go with the flow kind of dude, very down to earth, and is pretty obvious that he's into Kirsty. And he is actually played by a man named William Hope, who actually turned down a major role in Full Metal Jacket to instead do a little-known sci-fi horror film called Aliens, which many people considered to be one of the best sequels ever. But the reason that I bring him up here is because according to Ashley Lawrence, William Hope and Claire Higgins, who plays Julia, had a bunch of tension between them during filming, and it didn't seem like they really liked each other. They didn't get along. Well, years later in 1995, Lawrence runs into Higgins randomly and asks her what the story behind this was. And she says that her and William Hope went to the same college and used to know each other really well. And Claire apparently was kind of in love with him, but he wasn't really into her at all, which broke her heart. So when they ended up working together on this movie years later, she acted cold to him to avoid, those feelings coming back for him again. Fast forward to 2010. Lawrence runs into William Hope at a convention and tells him this story. And it breaks his heart because he had no idea. And it turns out he was in love with her in college and thought she wasn't into him. What a fucking crazy story.
That is a crazy story. Sounds very middle schoolish. I had a crush on you.
Well, it's very college, but yeah.
But that's so strange. Man, wonder if that drove some of Julia's just bitchy, awesome, evil, just feminine vibes she has in this.
They didn't hate each other. It wasn't like that. They kind of rudely picked on each other a lot. But there weren't arguments and words and they didn't want to be around each other. It was just they were kind of giving each other shit.
I know, but what I'm saying is she totally has that demoness succubus vibe in this. She is totally from the cheating housewife in the first movie to she is full blown succubus.
She almost gives off rich bitch vibes.
Yeah, but she's very succubus in the fact that she's gonna use men. And she's not going to be used by a man again. She's going to use men, and and I wonder if that kind of that almost heartbreak behind that kind of drove her acting in this movie, or helped push it forward. Because she
Yeah,
gives
maybe.
off really good,
Yeah, maybe.
like just like I said, succubus demon fucking feminine vibes.
Yeah, it's just, man, that's the one hell of a coincidence. Just crazy. So anyway, Kirsty ends up passing out after this, where she wakes up a few hours later and goes on a little stroll around her temporary new home, where she comes across a young girl sitting in a room by herself playing with a puzzle. Kirsty stops and watches her through a small window when suddenly Dr. Cool Guy Kyle stumbles across her while on his way home, and he informs her that this girl has no family, no visitors, and has been here for 6 months, and they have no fucking clue what is going on with her. And to make matters worse, she doesn't speak. Kirsty then asks what her name is, and Kyle tells her that they don't know, but the nurses are calling her Tiffany, and the only thing Tiffany likes to do is solve puzzles. And I think we can all see where this is going immediately.
What's the fucking chances
Yeah.
of that?
So
Master puzzle solver.
Yeah, so anyway, after this, Kirsty heads back to her room, where a few minutes later, she gets a gruesome surprise as she spots the skinless body of a man laying across from her, who then reaches up and writes, "I'm in hell, help me," in blood on the wall. This, of course, freaks her out, causing her to close her eyes, and when she opens them, the body is gone, but the message is still there. She then walks over, touches the blood, and places it to her lips. Why the fuck she puts it in her mouth, I don't know. That's weird.
I assume this is her dad. Her dad's in hell. This is his skin
Well, you
body.
can't really tell.
You can't,
but that's what
it's
she
kind
thinks.
of very much assumed that is how she took it.
Yeah.
But yes, putting it on your lips is very strange.
It's like, I know what my
That's the part
dad's
I
blood
didn't
tastes
get.
like.
Yeah, it's like this is definitely him.
It's definitely cotton blood.
I can taste
You can taste it.
half of my DNA.
It's definitely a cotton family member for sure. Anyway, to make a long story short, Kirsty thinks this was her father reaching out from hell, begging for her to help him. Because remember, at the end of the last movie, Frank killed him and was wearing his skin. Not really sure why he would go to hell.
Well, maybe she thinks that because he's fucking, Frank skinned him.
Maybe.
Literally ripped his fucking skin off and wore it as a
Yeah.
fucking awesome flesh suit.
Yeah, that's gross. So the next day, Dr. Kyle arrives at work and he immediately goes to check on his new favorite patient. But when he walks in the room, he is surprised to find Kirsty looking a little worn, down and out. Plus, it seems like she has not slept. He quickly asks her what is wrong, and she proceeds to tell him that her father visited her last night and he is suffering very badly. But Kyle, who's surprised to hear this, reassures her that that can't be true because her father's dead. And she's like, yeah, I know he's fucking dead, doofus, but he's in hell suffering. And it is at this point where Kyle realizes that she is like way more messed up than what he thought, prompting him to like go get Chenard. Right before he enters Chenard's office, though, he overhears him on the phone telling the police to bring the bloody mattress to the side entrance of his house and definitely don't bring it to the hospital, which immediately sets off some alarm bells for Kyle. Thank God that it did, because to anybody else, I mean, like you get a movie character, it's like, how the fuck didn't that set off an alarm bell to you?
Yeah.
Thankfully, this didn't happen, because no doctor should get police evidence that's covered in blood at their home.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the police would be like, I mean, I know he was like, yeah, I can help this girl, but
I just need to see all your evidence.
Yeah, I just need this mattress. But I would be like, wait a minute.
Did you
you're
do
gonna
it?
have to come down to the station.
Like, are you a suspect?
Aside from that, so Flesh Suit, we have a YouTube listener by the name of Flesh Suit Man, and I wonder if he got that from Hellraiser.
Yeah, interesting question.
Yeah, shout out to Flesh Suit Man.
Definitely, that's a fucking rad name,
yeah,
dude.
and answer that question if you listen to this episode.
Yeah. So after that, Chenard and Kyle go to speak with a very upset Kirsty, where she begins to tell them the story of what happened and how she ended up here, aka the first movie. And we basically get some unused footage from the first film that shows Julia and Larry getting married, Julia cheating on him with his brother Frank. Frank solves the puzzle box and goes to hell. He comes back with Julia's help, and so on. So afterwards, Kirsty looks the doctor right in the eyes and asks if she's crazy. And Chenard, who's probably sitting there with a raging hard on after hearing about Pinhead and gang, says he doesn't use that word lightly. They have so much to investigate, and he has so much to do. I love how he just spaces it out, too. This is so fucking villain, dude. He's such a villain. So after that, we cut to later that day where we see Dr. Chenard admiring his brand new bloody mattress laying right in the middle of his home office. And inside this office, we see he is fascinated with not just creepy dead shit and like deformed creatures, but also the Cenobites and occult stuff. Because not only does he have drawings of the demonic creatures from hell, but he also has 3 other puzzle boxes displayed in glass cases.
This is impressive.
He's
He's got some money to acquire 3 of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And also, his office would fucking smell so bad. Dude, that mattress is fucked.
Yeah,
Dude, that thing's covered in like decaying
it's like
blood.
chunks of like people on it.
Yeah.
The cops just, I mean, they didn't do shit to it.
They put it in the back of a pickup.
Yeah.
Bro. They were like, nope, rent the U-Haul. We are not tipping this thing.
Gross.
Nope. Not getting any of the flush suit on me.
So after he receives the mattress delivery, he heads back to work where we then see a very concerned Kyle break in to see just what the hell his boss is up to. So while he's poking around in there, we then quickly jump back to the hospital where we see that Chenard keeps the criminally insane, like the really fucked up people who are known to be very violent to others or themselves. He keeps them down in the basement. He then quickly retrieves a very mentally ill patient, sneaks him out of the hospital, and heads towards his home. Back in the office, Kyle discovers a binder with a bunch of news articles about kids, puberty, and psychic abilities, along with death being the 4th dimension, bringing him to the conclusion that Chenard has been collecting and studying this stuff for years. Just as he makes this discovery, he hears Chenard arrive, forcing him to quickly hide behind the curtains. Chenard then walks in with this very disturbed mental patient, walks him over to the mattress, removes his straitjacket, and hands him a razor. Now, this guy's name is Browning, and he is fucking nuts. And he has all these wounds all over him, and the reason why is because in his mind, he sees worms and maggots all over his arms and in his body. So when Chenard sits him on the bed and hands him the razor, he immediately starts cutting himself all over, believing he's like getting the worms off of him.
Yeah, I love that they show like what he sees, like why he's so fucked up and the reason that, this doctor knew he was going to cut himself up with this razor. But man, the just, I want to say imagery, but it's just like,
just
it's
scene.
not just, it's just grotesque, like maggots and bugs and crawling all over him. And then what is to follow? This scene is so fucking horrifying.
Yeah.
Like, not only is it super grotesque and brutal, but it's somebody doing it to themselves.
Yeah.
And then it makes it even scarier that somebody's like watching this and with such like interest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's so fucking creepy.
And there's 100% there's been mentally ill people that would do this to themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you potentially drilled that drill into their brain at some point while they were there at your hospital. Brain surgery, like super lobotomies, I guess.
So this mental patient is played by Oliver Smith, who also played Skinless Frank in the first film and in this film.
This is Flesh Shoot Man.
Yes. And I watched an interview with him, and he said originally Clive Barker wanted this character to not only cut himself all over, but also to cut his dick off, which would bring Julia back. Thankfully, he said that was cut out for some reason. I assume it was probably the budget thing. But yeah, that was supposed to be a part of it. Like, he was literally going to hold his dick and chop his dick off. They were going to show it.
They would have never got that. And like, we got a rating on that. Like, never, ever in a million years.
Yeah.
would they have gotten that in a theater in the US at least.
But this guy was technically one of the stars of the first movie. He's one of the main characters. Now
Yeah.
in here, he's playing a side character.
Yeah.
So when Browning starts cutting himself, a very disturbed Chenard watches from a distance, which I gotta say, like, if you're kind of disconcerted with this shit, I don't know if you can handle the Cenobites, dude. Because it gets way worse when the Cenobites show up.
I don't know if he's concerned as much as he is, like,
He looks kind of shocked.
brutally interested.
He is
like,
interested, but he has an initial like, oh, God, whoa, I didn't know it was going to be this bad.
And then, like, I love how he closes the door. Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's nobody
Yeah.
there.
Let me, like, this is so fucked up. I know it's my house and nobody else lives here, but I'm gonna close the door just in case, out of just
I don't want my
It-
house
it's-
plants to hear.
it's out of instinct to shut the door because it's so fucked up.
Maybe
Like,
he's
oh
got-
my God,
Maybe he's got fish.
my neighbors might
I
hear.
don't want them to disturb my fish.
Like, this is some really fucked up shit.
Yeah, so Browning cuts himself up pretty bad and then lays back on the bed, drenching it in even more blood when suddenly two skinless arms and legs pop out and grab him, splattering blood onto Chenard's face. And right as the doctor looks down in shock, he quickly notices a skinless face rise out of the mattress looking right at him. So I'm going to go ahead and ruin the surprise now. This gross-ass thing coming out of the bed is Julia, who has come back just like Frank did in the first one, which I do want to point out, Frank had to eat like 2 or 3 dudes before he had this much blood and muscle, so for some reason, Julia gets a head start.
Well, you know, I do, because that is one thing I noticed and I kind of questioned. And it does take Julie a lot of bodies to fully rebuild, but like if Frank came out as like a fucking, like a spine,
Yeah,
a spine out of the floor. At one point, it's like a crying baby effect that they put over him when he first pops out. Like he doesn't even have a voice.
yeah. Remember
It's
there's like the
awful.
part too where like it was the condom blowing up underneath it was like the bloody
Yeah.
bag blowing up underneath the floorboards. That's how we started.
Yeah. But remember, he started just off of a couple drops of blood,
Yeah.
whereas like she gets her start off of a ton of blood. But I also wonder if it's, you know, the time that she spent in this dimension. And this is one really cool thing about this movie that we learn is that time moves differently in this dimension of hell.
Well,
Like-
there's another answer too that I don't want to say yet because it's later on, but it's kind of a reveal, which becomes a big part of, I think, this. Like when I originally wrote this, I didn't really catch the reveal as good as I did when I was writing it compared to when I watched it. So I think that's actually a really big part of why she came back the way she did, kind of more advanced. So Julia and Browning wrestle around all over the office floor, almost exposing Kyle, who's still over there hiding. Which, by the way, man, weird choice of music for this scene. It's almost like jungle music. I don't know if that was weird to you.
Yeah, it is definitely a almost like tribalistic music.
Yeah, it doesn't
It's
fit to
kinda
me,
weird.
but yeah. Well, anyway, until finally Julia jabs her hand into the back of the man's neck where she begins to suck the life out of him, or, you know, whatever you want to call it. While she completely drains him, Chenard watches in disgust while at the same time becoming fascinated, giving Kyle an opportunity to sneak out the side door. After she is done feeding on this dude, it becomes obvious that she is pretty weak because instead of getting up and introducing herself to the man standing in front of her, she crawls around on the floor and begs for Chenard to help her. Dude, when she fucking crawls back across that gross-ass mattress, it almost turns my stomach. Like, the visuals with all the blood and, like, chunks of, like, human on it, that's bad, but it's the fucking sound. The sound here of the, the like, swashing around, it's
Yeah.
just gross, man.
It's the Foley artist,
And-
and they killed it.
And knowing that she's, like, crawling on a basically giant sponge full of blood with chunks of human meat is disgusting.
Dude, this whole scene is fucking, like, just nuts.
It's like a slip and slide for demons. Just fucking covered, soaked in blood, fucking
blood and
mattress.
body,
Just
like
sliding everywhere.
chunks of flesh, and yeah, it's super, super
Yeah,
awesome.
because she's like
and
falling,
gross.
sliding. Like, yeah, it's
It's
wild.
yeah, and for fucking poor Kyle, like, he had to be shitting himself. Like, if you get caught behind that curtain,
Yeah, it's gonna be bad.
like, you were dead. Like, this guy that you work for, this is your boss who's got way more money, like, owns this institute. You've now discovered, like, he's secretly into the occult, and now he's done, like, murdered I don't know, I guess you would consider that some type of murder. I don't know if you get him first degree. The guy did cut himself up, but
That's the official court ruling. Some kind of murder.
He did allow it to happen, but yeah, like, this guy's gonna kill you.
Yeah,
Like, if you get discovered, you're dead.
So the next day, Chenard finds Julia exploring the house where she spots herself in a mirror and gets so upset that she looks more like roadkill than a human being, causing her to punch the glass, shattering the mirror. After she calms down a bit, she informs Chenard that she's cold. And I was like, yeah, you don't have any fucking skin. So for some reason, Chenard gives her an all white suit to wear, which instantly gets stained with blood. And I think when he sees her step out of the room, he realizes how fucking stupid this was. Because she looks like if Miami Vice got into a car wreck with no seatbelt, like went through the windshield. Like, this is like, she looks like Don Knotts, the fucking all white blazer, white pants to match, and it's literally fucking soaked in blood.
Well, I love how his whole fucking house is just, everything is white.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
there is no interior design. It's just, everything's white. And he's like, you have got to put some clothes on because you are getting blood all over my fucking white shit.
Yeah.
Like, clearly this guy likes the color white, and you are ruining it in blood.
Yeah, just don't understand the decision of giving her a white suit. It's just okay. So she's like, I know I look like shit. And he's totally he totally tries to lie to her, and he's like, oh no, you look great. More people should think about ditching their skin.
Yeah.
I hear blood red is in style this year. Skin's out, muscle tissue is in.
Gross.
Yeah. So after she enjoys some wine and a cigarette, Chenard ends up wrapping her whole body up in gauze because A, she keeps leaving bloody handprints all over his goddamn house, and B, he probably can't stand to look at her because she's fucking gross.
He's like, I still badly want to fuck you, but I've got to make you into a mummy first, at least. Like, bloody, skinless mummy is better than just bloody and skinless.
Yeah, so once he makes her look like a homicidal mummy, they both seem a little content with the situation because, they almost fuck. That is until Chenard places his hand on her chest and realizes there is no titty, it's just bone. Which leads her to tell him she needs some fucking skin, and the only way she's gonna get that is if he brings her some people to eat.
Of course, Julia just comes back wanting to fuck some people.
Yep.
She's like, I need some dick in me.
Yep. So
as if dick in her didn't start this whole
thing. So after that, we then jump back to the hospital where we see Kyle tell Kirsty that she is indeed not crazy and it is all true because he just witnessed Chenard bring a skinless Julia back from the dead and he is getting her out of here. Kirsty likes this plan but can't live with the fact that her bitch stepmom escaped hell and is living the high life with her new doctor boyfriend and decides that she needs to get her hands on the puzzle box in order to call up the Cenobites like she did with Frank. That's kind of an odd conversation, though. Like, she summons Pinhead again, and he's like, what is it now, Kirsty? He's like, do you actually want some pleasure and pain stuff this time, or are you just snitching somebody out again?
I do love the Julia, the weird sex thing between Dr. Chenard and Julia, and her licking his finger as kind of like a ode to the first one.
Yeah.
She licks Frank's nasty ass finger.
She does a couple things like that.
But she was on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, that's a really cool, like, kind of Easter egg. Yeah, to the first movie.
Yeah. Kirsty's kind of like the bounty hunter for hell. People escape. She tracks them down. She calls the Cenobites to arrest him. They take him back.
You think it just gets tired? Like, oh, somebody's calling again.
Yeah.
Fucking.
It's kids, Kirsty. Someone's escaped.
It's just about Julia again.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, somebody check Frank.
Yeah,
Is Frank
better
here?
not be Frank.
Anyway, Kyle's like, Chenard's got a whole collection of fancy puzzle boxes you can use, prompting him and Kirsty to grab their coats and hit the road. And Kirsty plans on using the box to somehow get her father out of hell. Good luck with that. And Kyle starts putting the moves on her, which makes me wonder if this like whole elaborate plan is just him trying to get his foot in the door.
Yeah,
Like-
he's a bad doctor.
he's not doing any doctor stuff and doing like, boyfriend or potential boyfriend stuff. So we then cut back over to Chenard's house where, despite the fact that it's only been a few hours, he has managed to bring Julia a bunch of people to eat who we see bloody, decayed, and dead hanging from chains attached to the ceiling. I counted 8 people in this scene. How the fuck did he get so many people to his house that fast? Did he
The fucking basement of his insane asylum that he is the fucking owner of.
I was like, did he throw a goddamn birthday party or something? Like, how did he get everyone over there that quick?
You remember when he goes in the basement and gets the guy with all the maggots, all those fucking screaming crazy people? That's all the screaming crazy
I
people.
feel like it's just
He literally keeps them in the basement for this.
You'd have to have
this moment.
a bus to bring them all back though that fast.
He
Holy
probably
shit.
does have a bus. He owns an insane asylum.
He called
They
the police.
Probably go on field trips sometimes.
He called
the
the-
fucking lake and stuff.
He called the cops and he was like, I can help this girl. I just need you to bring all these people here.
Yeah. Need you to bring like
Got the
10
cops working
crazy
for him.
people. God, it's fucking the visual effects in this scene though, like with all these dead.
They look good,
They
yeah.
all like immediately look decayed when she sucks the life out of them.
Yeah, they
And
look like
then-
they've been dead 100 years.
Yeah, them all like hanging from the chains in this room is just so fucking awesome looking.
Yep.
And I don't understand why this room is like chunks of the wall is missing and you can see like the wood behind it and this rich doctor's like house with this super nice office and everything's white. And then he's got this like really fucking old room that's like when he had his house remodeled, he's like, nope, don't touch this one.
Well, he
This
ran,
is going to be my evil room.
he ran out of money because he was like, 3 puzzle boxes just came out from auction on eBay. But anyway, as a major storm rages outside, we see a still mummified Julia eat an attractive naked young woman as a now evil-looking Chenard watches with pleasure. This is how I imagine Jeff Bezos spends his Saturdays.
He's like, I am going to get you some titties. You
Yeah.
take this one's titties.
Yeah, so do you get to choose where the skin comes first? Once Julia cleans her plate, she then turns around where Chenard uses a pair of scissors to cut off the gauze, revealing a much better and healthier looking Julia who now has turned back into her human self. I gotta say, this is gonna be controversial. Julia's kind of hot now. She got a major glow up, far more attractive than she was in the first film. I'm kind of into it.
I agree.
I don't know what they did, but I'm into it.
She is much better looking in this movie.
I hated her in the first one.
I
Kind of
did
pulling
too.
for her in the second one.
Well, she was like a cheating housewife that like was literally just
She's still that
she's
cheating
like-
housewife at heart,
she's
okay?
like a bastard. I know, but the difference is in the first movie, she is like a hiding, cheating housewife.
Oh.
She is all like, I am Julia. I am the fucking,
Know thy name.
I am the fucking, like, I am the head bitch in hell.
Yeah.
Like, she just gives that vibe.
So the next day, Chenard leaves to go back to the hospital, prompting Kirsty and Kyle to sneak into the house, and at first everything seems totally normal. Kyle tells Kirsty to stay in the office while he checks the rest of the place to make sure the coast is clear, but he quickly runs into Julia, who he doesn't recognize because remember, she had no skin last time. Now, when he runs into her, he was about to open the bedroom door because he could hear hundreds of flies in there. And this is where Julia plays a trick on him, basically playing it up like Chenard has killed all these people, and she's like held captured here, or like, something like she's playing the victim, making Kyle thinks she needs saving. So he then asks her if the thing with no skin is still there, and with fear in her eyes, she tells him that she doesn't know, prompting him to man up and open the door. And as he does, he's immediately shocked by the sight of all these rotten dead bodies. Julia then kind of starts to seduce him a little bit. As she walks over, we see that despite how good she looks, her back is still missing skin, meaning she is not quite done feeding. As she then starts to console him, she informs Kyle that she's Julia. And before he can get away, she kisses him while also jamming her fingers in the back of his neck, sucking the life right out of his body.
I guess the backside of that woman's breast, the back part did not come.
Yeah.
Just the front.
Just the front, but Charnart's good enough.
You don't get the back of the torso. He's like, here, you take the titties on this one. We'll worry about the back later.
So back down in the office, Kirsty begins looking through Channard's binders where she stumbles across the picture of Elliot Spencer, which is attached to a drawing of Pinhead, prompting her to put 2 and 2 together, where she then takes the picture and puts it in her pocket. As she does this, she then suddenly hears a loud thump from upstairs, which is, of course, Kyle's body hitting the floor, forcing her to go looking for him, and she pretty quickly finds him along with the rest of the dried out corpses, causing her to begin to panic. This is only made worse when Julia calls her name, blocking the exit, telling her that the rules of the fairy tale have changed and she is no longer the wicked stepmother, but now the evil queen. And right as Kirsty gets pissed, Julia yells out, "Take your best shot, Snow White." Gotta say, really digging confident, evil Julia here. She's a good villain. Much better than the scared, confused, horny Julia from the first movie.
Yeah, she's horny and confident now.
Yeah.
Like, I told you, that's the difference, man. She was like, just like the shitty, cheating housewife. Now she like owns her shittiness. She's confidently horrible and she knows it.
Yeah, that whole
She's like, I'm so bad, I'm the queen of fucking hell.
Yeah, that line with the like, "Take your best shot, Snow White," fucking one of the best lines in the movie.
Yeah.
It's badass.
And that could be really cringy coming from some other actresses, but she pulled it off,
man. So this prompts Kirsty to charge her, but Julia backhands the shit out of her, immediately knocking her unconscious. And right after Kirsty hits the floor, Channard steps in the doorway, revealing that he has brought the young girl Tiffany back to his house, announcing it is now his turn. So basically, what Channard plans to do here is have Tiffany solve the puzzle box, which will open up the portal for the Cenobites to show up. And while they are talking to Tiffany, Channard can enter the Hell Dimension without, getting ripped apart by the Cenobites.
It's so creepy how he says it's now my turn, and he shows up with this girl though.
Yeah,
like,
I was like, are you gonna sexually assault her?
Yes. Gives SA vibes.
She's a child.
Sure. Yeah, he's like, you already know he's into some fucked up shit.
Yeah,
like he almost fucked a dead girl with no skin. Like,
that's true.
He's and the way he says that is like, oh, whoa, wait a minute now.
Yeah.
Just let her solve puzzles for the love of God.
Yeah, maybe his name is in a certain batch of files the government doesn't want to release. So my only complaint about this plan is, as we have seen in every goddamn Hellraiser film, the puzzle box is not hard to figure out. It doesn't take a puzzle genius to solve it. As a matter of fact, most of the people who have opened the fucking portal have done so simply by touching the goddamn thing. So the reality is, he could have skipped most of this and just had crazy guy Browning touch the fucking box and boom, same results, much simpler plan.
You think Tiffany was like, holy shit? Like we find out what her backstory is later in the movie. I don't want to give that away yet, but you think she was like all of that for this? Like this?
Yeah, she's like this is not really a puzzle. This is kind of more of a push button kind of scenario. I don't know. I did look up exactly what Channard's plan was, because I was like, maybe I just don't fully understand it. And apparently, he was obsessed with harnessing the power of the laminate configuration, gaining absolute knowledge and control, knowing the truth beyond the physical world, and potentially ruling over the labyrinth and Cenobites. So he's got big plans.
I mean, this is not so far out of reality if this was a real thing. Like, there's some, like, politicians and some rich people
Yeah, but
that
he's
would
talking about
totally
taking
be,
over, like,
like
the Cenobites. I'm like,
like,
bro, you
they
have never even met them.
I know, but you would totally get some very rich, powerful people who's like,
Well, that's actually the newest
like,
one, is that
I
same
mean,
plan.
P. Diddy literally fucked guys. Like, he's like, I am so powerful that I can't get off on any more power other than fucking another man to gain my power. Like,
Yeah.
I don't even get that.
The diddler.
And like,
The diddler's got a puzzle box.
like, you hear all this, like, crazy shit of the Bohemian Grove and all the weird shit and all the conspiracies. Like, there would be some rich people who would take the risk
Well, I agree
to
with
gain
you.
this power.
I agree with you. This is in the realm of reality, but I feel like, maybe with a plan, maybe don't go all the way. It's like, saying, hey, I'm going to run for like my local district representative, but then I'm have plans to take over the United States.
Or
it's like,
or
wow,
like-
you're running really far
or
with that.
listen, like, you're so rich and powerful, you're like, I'm going to run for president, although I've never held a political office in my life.
Yeah, almost like rich and
That-
powerful people have
It's
never
almost
thought of
like
that.
that same kind of scenario.
You know,
Like, somebody might go that far
and threaten the world.
and have that much power.
Yeah. So after inspecting it, Tiffany begins to play with the puzzle box, which begins the opening of the portal. And right as weird shit starts happening, Julia looks at Chenard and asks him if he is sure this is what he wants. Chenard, who is very excited, tells her yes, he has to see it, he has to know, and his dick is as hard as a diamond in an ice storm right now.
He is well on his way to his third cum of the evening.
I got a funny joke for you. What does a penis and the puzzle box have in common?
Give me the answer.
The more you play with it, the harder and messier it gets. I came up with that joke myself. So Tiffany then manages to convert the box into its next configuration, which destroys the office and opens the portal, allowing the Cenobites to enter. Now, I do want to point out two things real quick. So, for one, Chatterer looks just like he did in the last movie, but that will change a little later on. And two, eagle-eyed viewers will notice that female Cenobite, aka Deep Throat, looks a bit different this time around. And that is because Grace Kirby decided that she did not want to return, and she was replaced by Barbie Wilde, who had a much fuller face than Kirby.
Fuller throat.
Yeah, hence why she's lacking the sunken-in cheeks that we all know and love.
Yeah. The first actress was like, I got to give my throat a break in this role. Chatter being my favorite Cenobite, when you made that joke about Pinhead earlier, getting the call. Yeah, I just pictured them all in this room, and they all get up and they're like, "All right, the shit's opening. Put your game faces on."
Put your leather on.
Do you think Chatter starts chattering then?
Yeah.
Like, do you think
he warms up.
Yeah,
he was
that's
good
what
warm
I
up.
think. Like,
Yeah.
he doesn't chatter in his
Warm up them
downtime.
teeth, man. The portal's opening.
Yeah, like, I would imagine when they're all hanging out, like, he gives his jaw a break.
Yeah, hopefully. So anyway, the Cenobites surround Tiffany when suddenly Pinhead yells no, confusing his crew, where he then tells them that it's not these hands that call them, but desire, as he then turns to look at Chenard, who's standing off to the side. But when the camera pans over, Chenard and Julia are gone, where it is then revealed that him and Julia are already in the Hell Dimension. So the Cenobites leave Tiffany alone and they go after Chenard, leaving the portal open, where Tiffany soon follows. Kirsty then wakes up, runs downstairs, grabs the box, and heads inside in search of her father. And basically, this place just looks like miles and miles of dark, concrete and stone hallways with no direction. It just kind of goes on and on. So Tiffany ends up in this like evil carnival area, which I totally forgot about.
I fucking loved it.
It was so cool, yeah.
Dude, the clown juggling eyeballs. Like,
yeah. This whole part right here is I don't know how I've seen this movie fucking like 30 times and I just totally forgot about the carnival.
Dude, the imagery
It makes
in this
no
scene
sense, but
is a fucking 10 out of 10.
Yeah, it's very cool. So, yeah, we get to see this creepy clown juggling his bloody eyeballs, a newborn baby sewing its own mouth shut, and a quick scene explaining how Tiffany ended up at the hospital. And basically, her mom brought her there asking for help when Shenard then turned on them, killing the mother and keeping the girl so he could open the portal for him later on, proving that he had this all planned out. After she leaves the carnival, she ends up on a walkway outside where she spots something in the sky making a loud noise. And this is where the camera gives us a high up, wide shot of this place. And it is essentially this never ending labyrinth of hallways and walkways surrounded by this dark sky. This is, of course, a matte painting because, CGI wasn't really a thing. And I did read that this painting was based off of another really famous painting that essentially depicted a never-ending prison. So yeah, real cool. I don't remember the name of the painting, but you can find it. It's not hard.
This whole thing made me think about, almost made me more excited for Terrifier 4. Like, how are they going to do...
Yeah, because she's going to have to go into hell to find her, that little annoying girl.
Yeah,
I don't remember
the Seventh Circle.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. Also, the loud horn we keep hearing is actually spelling out God in Morse code, which will make a little more sense here in a bit.
Yeah.
So we then cut back to Kirsty, who is running down these random hallways when she suddenly finds herself in her childhood home. This is before her mother died and Larry got with Julia. And at first, Kirsty is stoked about this, but when she looks at the picture of her mother, blood starts to pour from the frame, reminding her that she is indeed in hell. Blood then starts to pour out all over as the furniture crashes to the ground, unleashing hundreds of roaches, forcing Kirsty to scream out for help. She is then transported to a dark room where the Cenobites once again surround her as Pinhead then says, "Oh, Kirsty, we thought we lost you." As Kirsty starts trying to use the box like she did in the first film, Pinhead laughs at her and tells her, "You can't send us back this time because we're already here." Which I fucking love. I love his personality, man. Especially in this one.
Yeah, I would have not even tried that. I feel like that's obvious. Maybe it was just a panic.
It's about panic, yeah.
But yeah, I would be like,
"You dumb girl."
Send him back. Maybe she thought it would send him back to Earth.
Send him somewhere.
Maybe it opened the portal. She could run back in.
So Pinhead then uses his power to essentially transform the box into a long diamond shape, which is known as the Leviathan configuration, and it is the final shape when the puzzle is fully solved, and this renders it powerless. Now, this transformation represents the influence of Leviathan, who is the ruler of this dimension. But the box in this configuration does possess a secret power, which turns it into a weapon against Cenobites. She just doesn't know that yet. So Kirsty yells that she wasn't the one who opened the box this time, with Deep Throat then mocking her about her past excuses and asking if maybe she's just playing hard to get and she really does want to play with them. But Kirsty then tells him that she's only here for her father, causing all the Cenobites to burst out in laughter, with Pinhead informing her that he is in his own hell and currently unreachable, just like she is. He's like, he doesn't have any bars where he is. You won't be able to get a hold of him. Kirsty then asks if they are also in their own hell, with Pinhead responding that, "No, bitch, we've always been here. But since she came all this way and there's no way for her to escape, he is willing to let her explore for a while." Now that line about them always being here is very important for the end, so keep that in mind.
I love how, her whole plan in this movie is, I gotta go back and save my dad. And it only took him saying that, and now her whole plan is, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
Yep. He's unreachable.
She that quickly was like, oops, I fucked up.
Yeah.
This was stupid.
That's true.
Came to the wrong
She could have just left. She could have just left Chenard's house.
Yeah.
Fuck Kyle, fuck them all.
She so badly wanted to run through there, and then she got there and was like, oh.
I honestly don't know if I would have the balls enough to go into a hell dimension.
No.
Even to save you. I'd be like,
No. See,
is there a map maybe? Can I get a preview of what it's like? I don't know if I just run in there not knowing anything. That's
just based off of the Cenobites alone. knowing that they came from there.
Yeah.
Like, I'd be like, "Nope."
I can't do
Like,
it.
this is death, and
I'm fucking sorry.
everybody in the world has to deal with death, and I'm just gonna have to grieve.
Yeah, I can't. I don't think I can go in there. So we then cut to Chenard as he explores where he comes across a threesome with all three people chained up in complete ecstasy. And as he is watching this, Julia comes up behind him and whispers in his ear, "Come on, I have such sights to show you." Another callback to the original. So she then takes him to where we saw Tiffany earlier, but this time the camera actually pans up and we get to see what she was looking at in the sky. And it is essentially a massive Leviathan configuration with black light shooting out in every direction. This is why it was sounding out God in Morse code, because this is Leviathan. This is the god of this dimension. And I actually stumbled across something I found really interesting. A lot of people believe that this is a Dante's Inferno type situation, and this is just the first layer of hell. Because I guess in the book, each layer of hell is ruled by a powerful demon, with the final layer being ice, which is controlled by Lucifer himself, like we talked about in the Black Phone 2 episode. If you haven't listened to that, go listen to that, because we shed some light on some cool shit about that movie. But yeah, we got another possible Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, I think that's
It's like
a
the third
really
movie.
good point. There, I mean, and that touches on with Terrifier 2. I think there's some equivalents to the Seventh Circle, being the seven circles of hell, and that kind of being a reference to Dante's Inferno as well. And if this is level 1, man, you can get the fuck out of there.
Well, yeah, and another thing that backs that up, because I did a lot of research on Leviathan and the whole like Hellraiser kind of background information and all that.
Mythology.
So, yeah. So anyway, Julia shows him this, and he is amazed at what he is seeing. And what Julia tells him here is that this is the god she now serves, not only here but also while in the physical dimension. And that Leviathan is the god of flesh, hunger, and desire. So that's kind of what I was talking about, is that kind of backs up that this is levels of hell. This level of hell is like people that are like really into flesh and, consumption and desire, which makes sense of why that puzzle box brings you here. You've tried everything in the world and now it's all boring to you. Here's a puzzle box for the ultimate desire, and you end up in this level of hell. So right after she says this, Leviathan shines his black light on Chenard, which makes him watch his sins throughout his whole life. And we see here that since he was a child, he has been obsessed with death, mutilation, and human transformation. This rattles Chenard to his core, stumbling back away from the light, forcing Julia to grab him and say, "But this is what you wanted. This is why I was able to come back," informing him and us that the whole reason this all lined up is because Leviathan was manipulating events in the physical world in order to get Chenard here for what is about to happen next. Which is why I think that when she came out of the mattress, she was a little more advanced than Frank, because Frank escaped. Julia was sent here. And Leviathan moved all these puzzle pieces around for Chenard because he wanted him here.
Yeah. Also, she is like the queen of this hell dimension now. So that tells us she's been down here for quite some time.
Yeah,
Like
it's a good point.
time here and time in the real world are completely different. And it makes me wonder how long she was here. And it explains why her character is
It's so
so
different.
much different, and she's such a good villain. She could have been down here for 10 years at this point. It's clear when they run into Frank, it's been a long time. Although it's only been a day.
It's only been a day, yeah.
In the real world. So if Leviathan can manipulate events in the real world, and time is on a different scale and dimension than in the real world, then he could have went back in time and set all these things in motion of Dr. Chenard's whole life. to make sure, even with Tiffany,
Yeah.
showing up to
100%.
Dr. Chenard and him getting his hands on the puzzle boxes, all of this was Leviathan not only manipulating the real world, but going back and manipulating time to set all of this up to, because Julia would have technically in the real world only just went there yesterday, but he has went back and changed the events of Dr. Chenard's probably whole life, or at
Yeah.
least last 10 years of his life.
Well, I think that's how he ends up with the Institute, so he has this available group of people that no one cares about. Yeah, and she kind of backs that up too, where she says, "This is the God I serve here and in the physical world," telling us that in the physical world, she wasn't like Frank just doing what she wanted. She was there on orders to get him there. But yeah, and she'll shed actually, she's about to shed a little more light too on this too. Was something she's about to say.
It makes you wonder, with the Leviathan choosing her to be like the mistress queen, if he picked Julia way before the events of any of this, if he is the reason that Frank originally actually got a hold of the box to come back
it's
and
a very
meet
good point.
Julia, to bring Julia here, because she was the chosen mistress of this place.
Yeah, really
Because we knew
opens
how
things up.
fucked up she really was in the first one. She just wasn't confident about it, but she was fucked up. She was fucking her husband's brother behind his back and doing all this into all this BDSM and doing really bad shit in her marriage.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, how much of the events of the first one was
Orchestrated.
Leviathan
Yeah.
essentially making all of this stuff happen. Was Julia the chosen one? Like, she was actually chosen to be the main villain in this whole franchise. Like, was she the chosen one by the Leviathan to be here?
Yeah, it's a good point, and I do think that this is actually one of the mistakes the rest of the movies make. They open this amazing world up, and then they don't really go back to it. Like,
Yeah.
the whole Leviathan being able to move pieces around in the real world and trying to get certain people, that doesn't really come back up as far. I haven't watched all of them in a long time, but I'm pretty sure that this doesn't come back up. It doesn't come back up in the third one. I know that. So, yeah, I think that they kind of made a mistake, because this could have opened up really wide and become really interesting, especially when you start playing with time. But they didn't really do that. But so while she is reassuring him, we see a big ass box painted like the puzzle box rise up behind him and open. Julia then pushes him inside, telling him that the god wanted souls and she brought him Chenard. And it is at this point where the demented doctor realizes that Julia used him, when suddenly these tentacles wrap around his body while 4 syringes stab into his back. We then see a large plastic tube full of blue liquid cream pied into his abdomen, while 6 thin metal wires wrap around his face and pull tight, slicing his skin like a razor blade. Chenard then screams in unimaginable pain, while Julia smiles and says, "You wanted to know, and I wanted everything. Goodbye, doctor," as the doors then slam shut and the box lowers. There's a couple things here. So Leviathan essentially just fucking nutted in him with his blue shit.
Deep throat number 2.
And basically Julia admits, "I wanted everything that Leviathan had to offer, and I was willing to fuck you over to get it."
And yeah, it really just makes me want to know how long Julia's been here. Like, for her entire personality to change and her to work her way up, or did she kind of get this offer early on getting there? Like, it's there's a whole story here to be told as well.
I do believe Leviathan comes in the laminate configuration. I think it comes up in the remake a little bit, but the remake is a standalone thing, if I remember right. But I am crossing my fingers the game brings this in.
Yeah.
Because it has kind of the 1 and 2 style. So I'm wondering if they're going to kind of run with a little bit of this storyline. Very excited.
I hope so. The game looks fucking awesome.
Yeah. So we then cut back to Kirsty, who runs into Tiffany, where they make a deal to stick together, and Kirsty informs her that because she is the one who opened the box, she's the only one who can close it. While looking for a way out, Kirsty finds a door that looks just like the door from her father's house, leading her to believe that this must be where her dad is being held. She then tells Tiffany to wait outside for her as she goes in to save her father. But when she walks in, she doesn't see anybody at first, only a large dark room lit by hundreds of candles and a makeup vanity at the other end. She immediately begins to hear the sound of a woman either screaming from pleasure or pain. It's not really made clear. When suddenly these metal slabs begin to roll out where attractive women move around under these thin white sheets. And this is all very sexual, which leaves Kirsty pretty confused. She didn't know her dad was a freak in the sheets.
Well, this is like a awesome. They're like orgasming in this pleasure and pain, and this is really showing that this world, this dimension, is the ultimate place of pleasure and pain. Like they're
it's not lying.
Obviously orgasming.
Not false advertising, that's for sure.
There's definitely this very sexual scene, but also very painful. I mean, they're literally laying on fucking
metal slabs or like stone slabs or something.
It's like a morgue.
Yeah,
it's essentially
it's
like a giant sex morgue. And what could be more pleasure and painful and death-defying than a sex pain morgue?
So to make matters even more confusing, when she goes to pull off one of the sheets, the women disappear, which makes absolutely no sense to Kirsty or what this has to do with her father. And this is where it is revealed to not be her father's hell, but actually her uncle Frank's, who is the one who tricked her with the message in the hospital. I do find it hilarious that his eternal torture is apparently having blue balls and being super horny forever and ever. And this is backed up by the fact that the women under the sheets are just there to like drive him crazy, with him not actually ever being able to touch them.
Well, I don't know. It's as if maybe like Frank's like, it's like he can touch them, but he can't ever fully get off. Like,
well, when they pull the sheets, like they disappear, so you can't actually fuck them. Yeah, they just make you horny, and then you can't.
Just rubs his dick on the sheets.
Yeah,
this isn't enough.
Yeah, I don't know why.
I need my niece.
I don't. Yeah, that's gross. I don't know why. It's like super creepy to me, but when they slide out and the sheets are drenched in blood, that's fucking creepy.
I know.
I love it, but like, it's creepy.
It's so like
it's so
symbolism and the imagery of it is just awesome.
Yeah.
Like it is so. It's one of those things that you see as a fucking kid and you don't forget.
Yeah.
Like you don't forget.
These movies freaked me out.
You know, as a kid, man, like it's like, oh God, like this is really scary. It's like a morgue in hell, and you know, there's like these women. But there's boobs. I can see boobs through the sheet. So I'm also like really intrigued.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to forget this, but it's also really scary. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
It confuses your brain for sure. So Frank then reveals himself to Kirsty, and it is immediately apparent that he wants to have sex with her. I do remember when we did the first one, you had a theory that he may have done something to her as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
And this is
because he says, remember, come to daddy.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, very, very, without completely saying it in the first one, it's suggestive that he definitely did something to her when she was a kid.
Yeah, I think this is a really good piece of evidence for that theory. So Kirsty tries to run out of the room, but Frank quickly grabs her, slamming her against a wall, pressing his body against her while also holding her mouth open. And as an empty metal slab slides out, Frank reveals his sick and twisted plan to her. Because he is constantly horny, but can't touch the women under the sheets, he decided to trick his fucking niece into coming down here to save her dad so he could kidnap and rape her.
And this is all Leviathan allowing him to do this to get Kirsty down here.
The fact that he fucking thought about this
think
is
about
crazy.
This too. That's another very large
bastard
suggestion that he did something to her when she was younger. especially, the way she acts when she sees him in the first movie, the way he talks to her. But you got to think about if he did, that would be one of, if not the worst moments of her entire life. Like, if that, especially as a kid growing up, that's going to be something that's always stuck in your mind. And it makes sense for that to be her hell.
Yeah, I agree.
Her hell is being stuck with her
Uncle.
yeah,
Gross ass
her
motherfucker.
fucking Uncle Daddy,
Yeah.
Frank.
Ew.
And,
Gross.
yeah, and then it makes sense for his hell to constantly just be stuck in this state of longing for his trying to trick her to come here because he has all these women, but he can't get off.
Yeah, I really like the addition of Frank in 1 and 2. I think that it's really one of the, you know, building block. It's like the backbone of the original Hellraiser is the story with Frank, but I am glad that this is it for him.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to keep going in the franchise with his weird, creepy incest, sex obsessed self. Like, I'm kind of
Well,
glad that this is it for him after this.
I
I can
mean,
only take so much.
it's part of the horror, though, is it makes you feel so fucking gross. Like, and his character was, one of my favorite parts of the first movie.
Definitely.
Like him growing from that nasty fucking blob
Oh,
under the
dude.
floorboard, like the fucking special effects and how creepy he is and how good he is at playing super fucking creepy. And then you find out, like, there's this whole thing with his niece and the suggestive backstory, and it's gross. It's not something that you want to see, but, like I've stated on the show a million times, anytime a movie can make you feel things in the real world, then it's doing its job. And Uncle Daddy Frank definitely makes you feel a little fucking gross.
Well, yeah, I'm just glad they didn't continue to run this into the ground like this. Frank's back in the third one. Frank's back in the fourth one.
What if Frank's hell is Chris Hansen walks out?
That's true.
It's like, hey, Frank, how you doing?
Yeah. So after this reveal, Kirsty plays along, kissing Frank on the cheek and telling him that she will do anything as long as he doesn't hurt her. She then walks over to the makeshift bed, grabs the sheet, and tells him she would rather burn, tossing the sheet onto the vanity, which is covered in candles, causing a huge explosion, sending fire all over. Fun fact, this actually caused part of the set to burn down. So this traps Frank, who begins to get burned by the flames, causing the sound of his screams to intertwine with the moans of the sheet girls, where we then see Kirsty stand back, watching Frank's skin melt away, leaving him looking similar to how he looked in the first film. But before Frank dies, the flames quickly dissipate, as Kirsty then turns around to see Julia standing there holding Tiffany with a big evil smile on her face. So we got a family reunion here in hell. Frank is stoked to see Julia, telling her that he knows she always keeps her promises and how much he means to her. She then smiles at him, shoving Tiffany towards Kirsty, when suddenly Frank demands she come kiss him because she belongs to him. And judging by the look on her face, she's not too happy about that, and long story short, she rips his fucking heart out and kills him, which I assume, considering he's already dead and this is hell, he's just gonna, come back. but she kills him for now.
Well, it also, it's physically, but also metaphorically ripping his heart out because he's
true.
like, Julia is his bottom bitch.
Yeah.
Like, he thinks, Julia's always going to be there for him. Like,
she sells him kisses.
She raised him and from the dead and murdered people for him. And he probably has either been there as long as her or doesn't realize how long she's been there. But she is a completely different person.
Yeah.
And, that's just part of Frank's hell. Now, the one girl you always thought would come back for you has now metaphorically and physically ripped your heart out.
Yep. So during an interview with Sean Chapman, who plays Human Frank, he said that he was pretty disappointed in this set, believing it to not really represent Frank's style, and it also gave off a very low-budget feel. He then talked about not really understanding going from Clive Barker as a director, who brought this very unique, interesting, and clear vision to the first film, to Tony Randel, who seemed to be a lot more by the book and didn't really introduce anything new to the visuals of the film. He also said that he got a lot of direction from Clive on the original movie, but got absolutely nothing from Randel, causing him to feel like he just went in, did his scenes, and left with Randel basically accepting his performance and moving on pretty quickly. So from watching the interview, I got the vibes that he thought it was a big step down to hire Tony Randel after Cleve did such a fantastic job on the original film. He didn't really think that his part in the movie was really important
Well,
and didn't really
he
understand why they had him back.
you got to understand.
He's still mad about
you're
that voice stuff.
Well, he's not. He is if not the. I mean, he's one of the main characters of the first movie.
Yeah.
He is literally the movie. Without Frank, you don't have a movie.
True.
And this movie, although his character and story is important for backstory, his character is not in this movie.
He's
but
defeated.
for a very little part.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, the director is not going to show you in your performance as much attention as the main characters of the story. And, I mean, you've already played the fucking character before. It's not like he's got to fucking teach you how to play the person
Yeah.
you already fucking played.
Yeah, so, well, they were also, too, I don't know if he was aware about the budget constraint issues and stuff, but
Yeah,
So-
blame the government.
it's also his first film. Like, Tony Randel, this is his first time directing, so
Yeah, I mean, you know,
I can see
you got
that.
to make fucking hell out
Yeah.
of $6 million. And it's literally like a third of your movie, if not more.
Yeah. So while Julia kills Frank, Kirsty and Tiffany take off running, where Kirsty accidentally loses the puzzle box, allowing Julia to find it, when suddenly a wall breaks free, causing a massive gust of wind to almost suck them down another corridor, forcing them to hold onto the bricks for dear life. While this is happening, we then cut back to that walkway where we see the box that Chenard got trapped in open back up, revealing a brand new Cenobite. Chenard then steps out, dressed in a leather suit, wires wrapped around his head, now embedded into his blue skin and sporting a much deeper voice. And as he realizes what he has become, he says,
And to think, I hesitated.
telling us that even though he has destroyed not only his body, but his whole entire life in the physical dimension, it was worth it because he now has all the knowledge and power he has ever dreamed of. That's actually one of my favorite lines in the movie.
Yeah.
So
I
good.
mean, I would imagine that's how you are kind of become a Cenobite. You have to really, like you were saying earlier, be so bored with life and have done so much that nothing really affects you anymore. And you have to have this such extreme to get off. And he's been chasing that his whole life. And he finally got it.
Yeah. So if Cenobite Chenard thinks that this is a no strings attached kind of deal, he's about to find out that he is totally wrong, as Leviathan's dick tentacle latches onto his head, burrowing into his brain, meaning he just gave up his free will and will now be controlled by the powerful God himself. And what's funny about this is they purposely designed this thing to look like a big dick. Actually, I love the English accent, and the special effects guy was like, yeah, we designed it to look like a big old cock. Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, this goes back to the very first scene that he's in the movie where he's doing that brain surgery and he has that awful blade thing going down into the skull. That I think was put in there to come back to him in his final form as
That's
a
a good point.
Cenobite. Is it literally digs into the back of his skull, just like we see him giving brain surgery in the very beginning.
So back in the hallway, Kirsty tries to pull Tiffany to safety when suddenly Julia shows up, revealing she now has the puzzle box. Kirsty then reaches out, pulling Julia into the tunnel of wind, forcing her to catch herself right before she is blown away. Kirsty then tries again to get Tiffany to grab her hand, but Tiffany plans on trying to get the box from Julia first, who is moving closer and closer to the young girl. Right as Tiffany takes Julia's hand, Kirsty grabs her wrist and tries to pull her away, believing that Tiffany is changing teams. But the force from all of this starts causing Julia's back skin to rip, which quickly gives way, causing gross, skinless Julia to get sucked down the hallway, leaving Tiffany holding her skin suit. And right after this happens, the wind stops where her and Kirsty then run away, leaving Julia's skin laying on the floor. Yeah, I know it sounds weird and it's a bit confusing, but you just got to go watch the movie. It'll all make sense. I had a hard time writing it because I was like, this doesn't make any fucking sense unless you see it.
I paused it and took a picture of Julia's skin laying there. It looked pretty good.
Yeah. Somewhere that special effects prop is somewhere. It's like rotting somewhere.
Probably just fucking
Unrecognizable.
deteriorated.
What Julia would look like today in her life. So they take off running down this hallway where they end up in this nice hospital room where the sun is shining through the window, leading them to assume they have just escaped the hell dimension. Finally feeling safe and letting their guard down, Kirsty bursts into tears about not being able to save her father, which causes her and Tiffany to have a nice bonding moment. After things calm down a bit, Kirsty tells Tiffany that they are leaving the hospital as they then exit the room and head down the hallway where everything looks perfectly normal. Now, Hellraiser fans have for years talked about this rumored deleted/missing scene, which is called the surgeon scene. And basically, when they came out with the unrated cut on VHS, I believe it was like in the mid-90s, some of the artwork that was used showed Pinhead and Deep Throat dressed as doctors, which is where the whole thing started. And when people watched the unrated cut, they were confused because that scene is nowhere in the movie, which is what led to all of the speculation. And for a long, long time, it was rumored that the scene was so gruesome, it couldn't even be shown in the unrated cut. Well, today, I am going to clear this up. I'm going to tell you what happened, what's in the actual scene, and where you can find it if you have not seen it already. So, this is according to Doug Bradley. When the scene was written in the script, it was super simple. Basically, it said Kirsty and Tiffany run through the hospital when they are suddenly stopped by two surgeons who ask them what they are doing in this part of the hospital. The doctor's mask then fills up with blood, followed by pins coming out of his head, where it is then revealed to be Pinhead and female Cenobite. Now, despite being simple on paper, turns out this was very hard to pull off with effects. So when they went to film it, they dressed the Cenobites up as doctors, but the pins made it really obvious that it was Pinhead from the beginning, so they couldn't figure out like that part. And then the whole like mask filling up with blood, that wasn't working out. This didn't make any sense. So after hours and hours of trying to pull this off, they end up ditching the idea. But what they didn't know is while this was going on, the set photographer snapped a photo of Bradley and Wilde dressed as Cenobite surgeons, which was accidentally used for the unrated artwork, meaning the whole scene was never filmed. They did film part of it, just not all of it. So, fast forward to when the Magnificent Arrow did their special release. They actually found the footage of what was shot, spliced it together, and put it as a special feature, which you can now see. And the only thing missing in the part is where the blood fills up with the mask and a regular doctor turns into a Cenobite. And the reason I bring this up now is because that scene would have taken place right here in this part of the movie. And that is the whole story, mystery solved. If you don't have the Arrow release, which I highly recommend, you can actually find the scene on YouTube by searching Hellraiser 2 Surgeon Scene. Boom, there it is.
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, they are trying to escape the hospital when they suddenly enter a room where they find a bunch of mental patients who are all like cut up and shit playing with puzzle boxes, which should be like a huge fucking clue that they are not in the real hospital. And right when they start putting two and two together, Cenobite Chenard bursts through this big window in front of the two girls, floating in the air, hanging by Leviathan's dick tentacle. And he says,
The doctor. Is he?
Shit.
the doctor, is it? Which is great. I fucking love it. I did see someone comment that, they said, Poor Chenard gave everything up for knowledge and power, but instead was reduced to hanging off the tip of a huge dick spouting Freddy one-liners for the rest of the movie. And that is so accurate.
That is hilarious.
So the
This
girl...
reminds me of the big, like, accidental giant dick Freddy that they made, too.
Yeah, I thought about that. So the girls are shocked by this, with Tiffany finally speaking, immediately saying, "Oh shit." Kirsty then grabs her arm as they both take off running down another hallway as Chenard opens his hand, revealing all these like smaller tentacles that have mouths and eyes and razor blades. And as he looks down at these mental patients, he says, "I recommend amputation," as he then laughs at his own joke. It is important to note here that Chenard is not necessarily after Kirsty and Tiffany. He is kind of drunk with power, and he just wants to fully indulge in his obsession with causing pain and mutilation. So he's essentially killing everybody in his path, which is why he doesn't like go after them here. So he quickly stabs 2 razor blades into this man's head, using another tentacle to cut off the man's hand, killing him. I've seen another person point out, and this is going to fuck you up because there's no turning back after I say this.
Is it the arm?
No.
Oh.
So they pointed out that Chenard's laugh sounds like a vibrator on max power. And ever since I fucking read that, I can't unhear it.
That's funny.
Here, listen.
I recommend amputation.
Dude, oh my God, you'll never go back. It sounds...
I didn't even notice that.
He does it like 7 times through the movie, and every time it's like vibrator on fucking max.
Yeah. Shout out to the Foley artists from the beginning of the movie, but maybe they were running out of money.
Yeah, I may have to clean up a version of it and like put it in this episode, because I don't know, like editing it might get kind of fucked up, but I will 100% put it in there because you got to hear it. And you'll never look at it another way after that. All right, so after they escape Chenard, they enter a room that is filled with chains hanging from the ceiling, where they instantly spot the Cenobites standing around. And when Kirsty tries to leave, she quickly finds the door is now locked. I wonder if this is like the Cenobite break room, because they're just like aimlessly standing there when suddenly Kirsty runs in, and they kind of turn towards like, "Kirsty, you have interrupted our mandatory 30-minute break and you must pay."
Chatters like, "Oh fuck," I start chattering. I didn't warm my jaw up.
Yeah, fuck. So the Cenobites are stoked to see Kirsty again, where they immediately start taunting her, telling her no more delays, no more teasing, it's time to have some fun. And if you pay close attention here, Chatterer now has fucking eyes, which looks weird. I don't like it. But the reason for this is because Nicholas Vance, who plays this character, had such a hard time in the first one doing his scenes without being able to see that he finally gave up and told them the only way he was coming back is you had to give the creature some fucking eye holes, which is why he looks different. He looks normal in the first one because they use the original suit, but he's like, you gotta fix this shit. So Kirsty then realizes that Pinhead looks suspiciously like the picture of Elliot Spencer she snagged from Chenard's office, causing her to tell him to hold on. But Pinhead is done waiting as he quickly shoots this down and saying, "No more deals." But she's like, "I'm not offering a deal. I'm offering information." And this gets the Hell Priest's attention as he tells her to spill the tea. And she says, "I know who's in the Epstein files, and I will give you all of their names. You can bring them all here."
And then Frank shoots her in the back of the head.
So
frames it as a suicide.
No, so Pinhead's like, "All right, give it to me, but if you try to trick us again, your suffering will be legendary even in hell."
I love that line.
Yes.
Like, it's legendary even in hell.
Yeah.
Like, not just regular legendary.
Dude,
hell legendary.
After, the next 1 or 2, depending on how you feel, the Hellraisers get shitty. I'll admit it. I've seen them all, but they are shitty. But I will watch a shitty Hellraiser movie to get Pinhead's lines.
Yeah.
Like, they're worth it. So she then hands him the photo, and even though he is like a little confused at first, she can see the gears just barely starting to turn as he begins to recognize himself. She then yells out that it's him, like he wasn't putting two to two together, where he immediately like denies it, but she quickly rebounds by telling them they all used to be humans. Because remember, earlier they told her they weren't in hell for punishment, that they have always been here. So she just fucked their whole mind up. And none of these Cenobites believed her at first, with Deep Throat saying that she is tired of waiting, immediately going after Kirsty, but Pinhead quickly puts a stop to it as he realizes that she is right because he is starting to remember his life as Elliot Spencer. And after he admits this to her, the rest of the gang follow, causing them to immediately lose interest in Kirsty and her mute friend. But this doesn't last long as Channard reveals himself hiding in the shadows, saying enough of this mushy bullshit, he is ready for another one-liner and some blood. He also then does his vibrator laugh. So Pinhead looks at him confused like, who the fuck are you? And these two girls kind of hide behind the Cenobites, which is wild. Channard realizes Pinhead and his crew aren't going to let him just float on in here and run shit, but the idea of a fight gets him even more excited. Pinhead then shoots some chains at him, hooking them all over his body, causing Channard to let out another vibrator scream. But this dude is directly connected to Leviathan and has way more power than them. He then uses his tentacle thing to break the chains and kill the Cenobites one by one, leaving only Pinhead alive. And as each of the Cenobites fall to the ground, we see them morph back into their human selves. And the shocking part about this is Chatterer is revealed to be a fucking kid.
I know. I was like,
And they
I don't
never
remember
address
that.
that. They never address that anymore in the fucking movies.
like, dude, there was some like fucked up teenager child. Like
He was
he's, like,
12.
13.
Yeah.
And he's got a hold of this box and
How do
figured it
you-
out.
How do you do a mic drop
chose
like
to
that?
be a fucking Cenobite.
They did a mic drop like that and never fucking addressed it again. And that's like one of the coolest details.
And the only thing I hate about this scene is Pinhead looks like the manager of a food line.
Definitely.
Or like a grocery
Yeah.
store. Like he's so like underwhelming
Yes.
in his human self. He's like this balding man that you would see at your local grocery store that's like made a career out of working at fucking Kroger.
He
or Food
mows-
Lion.
He push mows his grass at 6:30.
Yeah.
So now that he has killed almost all the other Cenobites, he says, he is taking over this operation, and these two girls will be his first patients. Dude, all of his jokes are hospital or doctor jokes. I wish Pinhead would be like, bro, we get it. You're a doctor. You don't have to keep reminding us. So he
I
then
wonder how long it'd take him to forget.
So he then zaps Pinhead with some blue lightning, turning him back into a human, where he then looks over at Kirsty, smiles, letting her know he will take care of this asshole and to run. But right as he grabs a weapon, Channard cuts his throat, pretty much killing him instantly. I'll explain some more about that at the very end of the episode. So while running back through the hospital of hell, they see the results of Channard's rampage as mutilated bodies are scattered everywhere. But it is at this point where Tiffany realizes that she's got to do, as she then tells Kirsty she has to go back and finish the puzzle. They then run back to Julia's skin suit, grab the puzzle box, and head to the outside walkway where she first saw Leviathan. Once they arrive, the demon god then shines his black light on her, which reveals what really happened when her mother took her to Channard. And essentially what we see here is Tiffany was obsessed with doing puzzles to the point where it took over her life, forcing her mom to take her to Channard. And once he realized he could use her to open the portal, he attacked her mother and I think did like a lobotomy on her or something, which Tiffany walked in on, leading her to become traumatized and stop talking, where she also kind of blocked out the memory until this black light brought it back. So after this, Tiffany then starts to transform the puzzle back to its original form when suddenly Channard floats up like a set of balls under a big dick, just hanging there thinking about his next joke. When Christy then spots him and attempts to save the girl, but Channard's tentacle grabs her and throws her against the wall, knocking her out. We then, of course, get a few more doctor jokes. After this, Chenard goes after Tiffany, with Kirsty running away, leaving the girl behind as Chenard sharpens his blade and says, "Surgery is open, and on today's agenda, evisceration." Which I had to actually look up. Apparently, it is the removal of internal organs through a wound. Yeah, it makes that worse.
It really
Dark.
went with the doctor.
Yeah.
The doctor one-liners.
Yeah, I was actually really glad I looked that up. I was like, oh, I'm glad I know that now. Because it makes that just even more scary.
It's a scary sounding word, too.
Yeah. So anyway, he pulls out his spinny cutty tool thing, causing Tiffany to slowly back away when suddenly that big-ass box that transformed Chenard pops up behind her, meaning that he's trying to do the same thing that Julia did to him. But right before she enters this thing, Julia, who has put her skin back on, shows up and grabs the girl, holding her still for Chenard. And needless to say, Chenard is stoked about this because he never got to smash. And right as he begins kissing her, a ton of lightning starts shooting from Leviathan in the sky as Tiffany uses this chance to finish the puzzle. I'm pretty sure the lightning was Leviathan trying to get Dr. Dickhead's attention here, because like he's way too wrapped up in getting inside Julia's underwear. It's like, hey, dumbass, look what she's doing. So she quickly...
I mean, his dick's in his brain. Can he, like, come that information into him?
Maybe it doesn't work like that. I don't know. So she quickly solves the puzzle, which gets Chenard's attention, and he's pretty pissed, saying, "Your case is closed, Tiffany, and I'm afraid it's terminal." He then tries to kill her, slashing her palm.
I didn't realize how bad it was.
Yeah, he does a better job at it than me, but it's the same words.
You think now he's thinking with his dick instead of Leviathan's?
Yeah. So he slashes her palm pretty deep, but this causes him to get his tentacle stuck in the walkway. And as he tries to pull free, the giant dick attached to his head is also pulling back, which causes his motherfucking head to rip in half.
Yes.
Awesome.
Awesome kill.
Awesome.
Both of his kills were awesome.
Yes, I agree. So once this happens, the sight of Chenard's mutilated skull still hanging there in front of her causes her to slip and fall, where she manages to grab the edge, holding on for dear life. A pretty rough-looking Julia walks over and says, "Trust me," and she puts her hand out to pull her up. But once Tiffany grabs it, the skin once again starts to rip and slide off the bone. Despite this, Julia is able to pull her to safety, and when Tiffany looks over at her with confusion, wondering why she would save her, Julia reaches up, peels her face off, revealing it's not Julia, but really Kirsty wearing Julia's skin in order to trick Chenard, which is super gross.
Flesh suit number 2.
Yep.
She's like, I learned this trick from my dad and my uncle.
Yeah. It's a family secret. Jesus
Keep
Christ.
it in the family. Flesh suit.
And I will teach my children, too. The two then hug, having both survived the Cenobites, Julia, Frank, and Chenard. But right as they go to leave, the giant Leviathan configuration in the sky begins to change back to its original form, meaning the portal is about to close, causing the two girls to run full speed towards the exit before they get trapped here forever. They just barely make it back before the portal slams shut, once again arriving back at the hospital. This has always been a big plot hole for me. They should have ended up back in Chenard's office. Why or how they ended up in the hospital is beyond me. I don't get it.
Yeah.
They didn't go in there.
Yeah, I mean,
I even looked it up, dude. Like, there's no answer for it.
It's a plot hole.
Yeah.
I guess because I mean, they should have been pretty confused when they ended up in the hospital and thought it was the actual hospital.
They probably
ended
already
up being like Dr. Chenard's like hell hospital.
If I had to put, a guess, like a really good guess, I'd say they probably had already tore down the Chenard set and built the hospital set for the end of the movie. But I don't know.
Maybe so much time has passed in the real world. Like, it's been like,
there's a hospital where Chenard's house is.
Years, Chenard's house, they then discovered all these bodies in it, and it's then been like demolished, and they're like, well, we'll send him back to the hospital.
So we then cut to the two girls all cleaned up, looking a lot better, finally discharged from the hospital, heading down the long walkway towards the road. And as they make their way towards their happy ever after, the camera slowly fades, taking us back to Channard's house, where we see everything boxed up when suddenly one of the movers discovers the bloody mattress. Right as he kneels down to touch it, two bloody, skinless arms reach out and grab him, pulling him close. We then see his partner walk into the room where he spots the other guy hanging halfway out, completely lifeless. When suddenly the spinning tower appears where we see body parts, bones, rotting skin, and the face of Pinhead, who appears to still be alive, along with many other skinless people and creepy shit.
Dude, there's skeletons fucking on that thing.
I was literally about to say, I don't know if you caught it, but there's a tiny skeleton fucking tower.
There totally is.
Yep.
Like, that is awesome.
Yeah. Also, that was not Doug Bradley playing Pinhead. It was actually one of the special effects guys, Joffrey Portis, who was super fucking stoked to make his own Pinhead mask.
Nice.
Anyway, the tower then comes to a stop where we see the homeless guy from the first film whose face is covered in grasshoppers, which, we saw him eating in the pet store that Kirsty worked at. When he then looks at the other mover guy and says, "What is your pleasure, sir?" And that is the end of Hellbound Hellraiser 2.
Yeah, I gotta say, for that moving guy, man, you really fucking deserved that. Like, if you found a gross-ass mattress, why would you fucking touch it?
Yeah, I'm staying away from that.
Like, oh, it's clearly like a fucking murder
Call
scene
the police.
They've already discovered all the bodies in the house, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, let me stick my finger in this.
Yeah.
It's like American Pie when he sticks his finger in the pie before he fucks it.
No, it's gross.
Maybe he needs a box.
All right, so some quick facts real quick. So the guy who plays Chatter, Nicholas Vince, actually caught a hook and chain in the fucking mouth while filming his death scene. He said it was very painful, but also it was like a 1 in a million chance and not really anybody's fault. Unfortunately, we don't get to see it because it happened immediately after they yelled cut. So the spinny tower that's in that room with them when they all get killed, one of the hooks literally flew around and caught him in the roof of the mouth. Good Lord.
That is, now he knows what the fish feels like.
Yep. So due to Kenneth Crenham being unable to sit in the rig required for Channard's Cenobite, he only appears as the character in close-up shots, with stuntman Bronco McLowan playing him the rest of the time. So according to screenwriter Peter Atkins, the reason why Channard was able to beat the Cenobites so easily was because they were weakened and disoriented by learning that they were once human, and also because they were acting in defiance of Leviathan, their master and creator, who is connected directly to and controlling Channard. So it makes sense. A lot of people, this is actually people's biggest complaint about this movie is that. And he actually came out and was like, well, this is the reason why. I mean, Channard is literally...
I thought it was pretty obvious.
I did too.
Fuck?
I did too. But
Like,
apparently a lot of people hate that.
Like, when you literally have been in a place for so long that you think you've always been there and you forgot your entire past, and then you get reminded that you were once a person, especially when you come into the real world and kill these people, and you think you're like some like chosen prince of hell. It's been so long.
Yeah.
And you realize, oh, fuck, I was a person?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that would definitely make you freeze up. Like, oh, shit, I had a wife and kids. And
well, I mean, it's the equivalent of somebody was able to prove to you that you were a bug.
Yeah.
And you just became a person.
You'd
be like, wait, what?
It's like if the, like this was all the whole reality theory. Like, we're all in a simulation theory. And then you woke up out of the game one day.
And then immediately had to get in a fist fight.
And then remembered your whole life, and then somebody shot you. Like, literally right as you woke up. And was like, oh, I have a whole nother life. That was just a game. Bam.
All right, so ratings and kill count. There is a total of 30 kills, but we only get to see 14. So we have Elliot Spencer, who was killed by the box and sucked into hell. Browning the crazy guy was killed by Julia. Hot naked girl was sucked dry by Julia. Kyle also sucked dry by Julia, and not in the good way. Human Channard was tortured and turned into Cenobite by Leviathan. Frank had his heart ripped out by Julia. Julia ripped out of her skin and was vacuumed up by hell, I guess. I'm not really sure. The mental patient in hell was stabbed in the head and had his hand cut off by the Cenobite Chenard. Deep Throat was stabbed in the neck by Chenard. Butterball stabbed in the gut. Chatterer was stabbed and hung on the column of suffering. Pinhead was turned into human and had his throat slit by Chenard. Cenobite Chenard had his head ripped in half by Leviathan's giant cock. The Mover, who was sucked into the bloody mattress. That was all 14. All right, what's your favorite kill?
So my favorite kill is Dr. Chenard. He's got two awesome kills. Like his
Well, which one's number one?
his kills, but both of them.
Okay.
All right. Well, number one, probably his head being ripped in fucking half by a giant dick.
Okay. Seen that one coming from a mile, but yeah.
Yeah, and then my very, very close runner-up is Browning actually killing himself with the razor blade.
Oh,
Bro,
okay.
that whole fucking scene is just so disturbing.
That's
Like,
that's good.
that's a scene that whole thing is horrifying.
Yeah, I agree. That's actually good. I kind of spaced on that.
Like not only him like cutting himself up, but the whole like Dr. Chenard watching him and like being freaked out, but yet so intrigued at the same time. And then Julia popping out and like shoving her fucking hand in the back of his head and sucking his soul. It's good shit.
So my favorite kill was Cenobite Chenard, who gets his head ripped in half, and my second was actually human Chenard when he gets transferred into a Cenobite. I fucking love that scene.
Yeah, that's why I said both of
That
them because I
scene-
just counted him as.
I mean, you can do what you want. Like, we don't have bosses. We ain't got to answer to no boss. Anyway, dude, man, like the fucking wires cutting. That scene is the scene that stuck with me. You know, after the first time I seen it as a kid, like that was the scene with the blue blood and all that shit. Like that's what I always remembered from this movie. So even though there's now as an adult, like there's so many fucking other things that are really memorable, but that one, man, is like, I think that is a Hellraiser classic scene. All right, so rating, what'd you give it?
Man, I give this one a solid 4.5. I think this is real. I don't even remember what I gave the first, but I actually might like this better.
Oh.
I loved the first movie.
I want to say we
do.
might have gave the first a 5. I think we might have both had.
Yeah, I loved the first movie. It's a lot better of a story. It's a lot cleaner, more direct of a story.
Mm-hmm.
This one is, I could see where people would love or hate it with the whole them going down into
Yeah, hell
the
dimension.
Leviathan's fucking dimension of pleasure and pain. But I thought it was awesome. I thought that they pulled it off really fucking good. The imagery in this movie is so creepy, and there's so many awesome practical effects. Like the practical effect team, absolute fucking 10 out of 10. There's so many scenes in this movie that's just like, holy shit. How much blood did they use? Like, how many gallons of fake blood did they use to put this shit together? Set design is super amazing. Like I said, the imagery's fucking top notch.
Fucking carnival.
The acting, the continuity for them to get the actors back, and of course the Cenobites. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta love the Cenobites. I thought Julia was an awesome villain. Thought Dr. Chenard turned into a Cenobite despite his vibrator laughter that I never noticed. He's the awesome, like, seeing the process of him being turned into a Cenobite.
It's very surgical,
Yeah.
which goes great because he's a doctor.
Well, I love the lobotomy thing of the Leviathan's dick going in
Yeah.
his head, and it goes right back to the scene that we're introduced to him on. Yeah, I thought it was great, man.
Yeah, I actually gave it a 4.4. I love this movie. I think the direction they went in was a fantastic idea, showing like where the Cenobites come from, where Frank escaped in the first movie, showing us how Cenobites are made, man. Like, that's awesome. Bringing Julia back as the main villain, and she totally, like, Claire Higgins totally fucking rocked it in this movie and pulled it off. The whole Chenard evil doctor thing was great. I honestly wish we could have seen him more like in the following films. Like he was fucking awesome, and you never see him again after this. Just him as a Cenobite is such a bad guy, but in a good way. Like, if you know what I mean. Like,
I guess he doesn't get to Cenobite anymore. Like, his head got literally fucked by Leviathan. That's how you actually fully die as a Cenobite.
Like, the fucking doctor one-liners, dude, and the way he kills people's, like, medical shit. Like,
it's just fucking scary.
Dude, it's
though,
awesome.
man.
It's fucking awesome. I love that they continued Kirsty's story and we were able to bring, like, most of the cast back. My only issues are there are definitely some, holes in the story, like how Frank was able to communicate with Kirsty in the hospital, why Chenard brought Tiffany into this whole thing, and then how they ended up back at the hospital at the end. Those are very small things, though.
Well, Frank was able to communicate with her in the hospital because the Leviathan allowed him to do that to lure Kirsty into the hospital or lure her into the dimension.
Yeah, but what did he need Kirsty for? He didn't do anything with her. He was trying to
kill her, I guess.
Yeah.
He pissed off in the first fucking movie. I don't know.
But honestly, man, this is a fantastic movie if you're a Hellraiser fan. I personally think it is one of the best sequels in horror, period.
Yeah.
So 4.4 for me.
I think that there is some, because I've seen people who don't like the movie complain that it made no sense. And I hope that there's some people who think that listen to this episode
and it changes their mind,
and it kind of explains some things for them. Like the whole, like if you don't really notice or think about the time dilation and the difference between, the hell dimension and the real world, and how Julia's been down there so long and she's become like the queen of Leviathan, and her coming back, and each person's hell being unique to them and why it makes sense. I even seen some people complaining about like Tiffany and how would she not remember her mom being killed.
Who cares?
You got to think, like, if this doctor like killed her mom or lobotomized her, he's probably kept her drugged up since she was a little kid, like super drugged up, and just given her puzzles for years and years. And she was a little kid, man.
Dude, I've seen this movie like 20 fucking times. If maybe a slight bit more, but I've seen this movie a ton. And when I started researching this, I learned shit that I didn't know because I started actually looking into the actual background of this. And one thing I didn't know, there's a whole entire comic book that covers a lot of this shit, which is where you can actually go and dig. I found a lot of information on like that being the puzzle box's final configuration. They don't say that in the movie. But I think that you can listen to this episode and this movie makes a lot more sense because we were able to kind of cover the stuff that isn't talked about in the movie. It's not obvious, but once you know it, it makes way more sense.
Yeah.
It makes it, pretty good. There are, like I said, a couple plot holes that I could not come up with or find anything about, but I don't care. Fucking 4.4, dude. It's fun. It's scary. It's uncomfortable. It's great.
It is a fucking sideshow of special effects, man. It is dark and twisted, bloody, sexual. Like, it is everything you would want a Hellraiser movie to be.
And also, I love Ashley Lawrence. She's beautiful. All right, so that is our take on Hellbound Hellraiser 2. Once again, we thank you guys for listening. Please give us a follow or like if you enjoy the show. Check out the website. Check out the socials. Tell a friend, a family member, or your death-obsessed doctor about the show. And we hope to see you next time.